Well, good evening. Welcome to the first 97 Octane Hockey Monday Night Raw show. I'm Mike Dursa, and I'm joined by Bob the goalie and maybe Chad later. First, I'd like to start off by saying our thoughts are with the Snow family and friends after Chris passed away. As well, we are thinking about the Stelter family as Mike Stelter has begun his own cancer battle. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Jay from OilersNation, the leading online community for Oilers coverage. Jay is also a very successful entrepreneur and someone who has donated generously to the Heavy Hockey Showdown without having to be asked, which speaks volumes to his character. I really appreciate this man. Jay, thank you for joining us on our first Monday night show.
I appreciate the invite and happy to be here. Thanks for the nice intro.
Bob, I'll let you go first.
What has Oilers Nation got in store for us for the 2023-24 season?
Yeah, we got a lot on the go with Oilers Nation. We're going to be launching a bunch of new programming, post game, going deeper with a few more shows that we have, and also just with all the other brands that we have in the Nation Network. I was saying to Mike in text there, it's just been kind of caught up with everything that's on the go. So a lot of good things in the kitty. Super excited for this upcoming season. Last year was pretty transformational for us. So stay tuned. Lots of events, lots of travel too. Travel's been a fun thing we've been doing. So come join us.
Actually, it's funny you say that, Jay, because I kind of noticed that too there over the last season. You guys really were much more out there. Like everywhere I went on social media, it was Oilers Nation everywhere. So you guys actually had a lot of growth there last year. So congratulations on that for sure.
Yeah, thank you. It's just kind of like our first kind of normal year out of COVID. Like we had all these good ideas and all of a sudden COVID hit and we couldn't really do anything or just starting to get momentum. So now it was kind of good to get back to trying to do what we wanted and what we envisioned a few years back. So thank you for noticing. We're trying to make as much noise as possible.
So Chad and I played he played more of his. I played my bantam hockey in Sedgwick, just down the road from Viking. And a part of me is a little bit sad that the first Sutter that had an opportunity of wearing an Oilers sweater COVID hit him hard and been out of the game for a little while. He tried to valiantly make a comeback, and he chose the right color of sweater to try it with. You know, he didn't try to just make any team in the NHL. He tried to make one of the more elite teams in Edmonton this season. So hats off to him and credit to him for trying to make a comeback on our club. And I wish him a happy retirement, but a part of me is a little bit sad that kind of a local product to me didn't quite make it.
Yeah, I was like on paper when we did it, I'm like, this makes so much sense because one thing that guy's going to bring to the ice and to the room is just hard work, and that can be infectious. So it made a lot of sense, but yeah, obviously he has to take care of himself first. So yeah, hats off to him for giving a go, even to try to come back. Like that's what he was battling was pretty hard. So kudos to him. Class act. The way even just how he approached it on the way out. Having that meeting and did it with class, organization, treated him well and gave him a good send off. So yeah, I echo your sentiments.
Well, I feel good for him. I mean, I think it would have been one of those situations where he would always second guess himself, like, what if I didn't try? What if I hadn't done this, right? So now he felt he was in a position where he could at least attempt it and see where things were at, and he did. He gave it his all. I mean, every time I went to watch, he always started off strong and then kind of faded towards the end, and that's probably because trying to build his stamina back up and what have you. But yeah, I mean, he left it all out there, so I think he retired on his own terms now. He made that decision, so good on him.
Yeah.
Our loyal listener named Cardinal from Indigenous Rookie Cards is saying, "Hey fellas, Name does a pretty cool thing, collecting all the Indigenous hockey players' rookie cards. So I always like to give him a shout out. He's a fantastic human being too. Got the pleasure to meet him down in Kelowna this summer, and I've got nothing but love for Mr. Name. So thanks again for watching. Is this the year the Oilers, win the division? I guess I'll start there.
This is to me.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. I mean, yeah. I drink the Kool-Aid. It's a silly season. So, they're going all the way. My bets are in. I think they have a chance, but Vegas's blue line is still Vegas's blue line. Not much changes there. So we just need to find that extra gear to be able to take them down. But 97-29, man. We get if Stu can come back to form, and if Jack can take a step forward, and who knows what we do at the trade deadline, like anything's possible, and we could probably even do it without that. But still got to respect Vegas. But I think our chances are good.
You think Vegas is still our biggest threat in that division?
Well, you have to look at LA's center ice and be like, oh shit! I don't know if you're allowed to swear on this. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can go. You can let her buck.
All right. Okay, I started with the simple one. So you have to be scared of that. Their goaltending is still we don't know that. We don't know where it's going to be, but yeah, they got deep cupboards. But I still think they're probably one more year away from being like a legit heavyweight. There's definitely going to be a challenge, but I would still put us in Vegas ahead of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like the way you classified them basically as a middleweight. That's probably the way to go about it. You were talking about McDavid and Draisaitl, and our man Eric Friesen tweeted out about an hour ago, since 2015-16, Johnny Gaudreau has 618 points, Brad Marchand 634, Nikita Kucherov 646, Sid Crosby 649, Nathan McKinnon 658. Our Terry Panarin at 661, Patty Kane 680, and our boy Mr. Dr. Dry 735, and Connor at 850. So I'm wondering if Connor eclipses the 1,000-point plateau at some point this season. If you got anything special planned for that already.
And that's parade worthy on its own, man.
It is, isn't
quite
it?
a feat, especially in such quick order.
Yeah.
And what's going to be 20? Man, it's going to be weird. It's going to be 27.
Yeah.
Geez, man, time flies, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's another good reminder of I mention this almost every time, that we need to be thankful that we are living in the Connor McDavid era, that we can see this guy perform on a nightly basis. And there isn't one thing, like there isn't a game goes by where he doesn't do one thing at least where we don't stand up and or our jaws drop because it's just something he did. It could be a 6-0. We could be losing 6-0, but you can't turn the channel because Connor McDavid's going to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't. What's great. Sorry to jump in there. What's great is they're finally starting to get it in the U.S. with television, and him getting televised a lot this season, which I think is so important because he's truly a gift. He's a gift of the game. We're fortunate that he plays in our city and wears our jersey. But like everyone needs to see this guy. It's appointment viewing with him, and getting him more in front of more people in the States where they're competing for market share with other sports. Like there's, I believe, the XFL, USFL, or whatever that league merger. Yeah, they've got more. They get more eyeballs on their games than they do an NHL game, which is scary. So more people need to see Connor.
A little bit disappointing, I guess, that the Heritage Classic isn't really going to be covered by U.S. media.
That's so weird.
It is.
That's they do all these outdoor games in the States. They invest a lot of money in the kind of hoopla around it and production around it, and just for like an actual outdoor game being played actually in actual winter, like doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
with Connor McDavid.
And it's like you forgot the origin story of where it all began.
I think a lot of American networks aren't too concerned about origins, and I think one of the drawbacks is I think they're looking past the fact that we got the greatest hockey player right now and just focusing on the fact it's two Canadian teams playing against each other, and it's not really relatable to the American audience.
Well, if they were really thinking, they would have not put the game on a Sunday, because you're not going to compete against the NFL.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the biggest drawback right there. Yeah, nothing wrong with doing it Saturday night again like they did right at the beginning.
Well, at least they had the mind to do it in October, not do it the dead of November again or something like that.
I remember I went to the one in Winnipeg. I think it's like the same weekend of October there, and what was it, 16, 17? Yeah, it was a good year for the Oilers. And I think it was like 2 degrees, and they had a sun delay. So we got there. The game was supposed to start at 2, and I think they had to give it 2 hours because the sun did some damage to the ice, so they give it a chance to get it repaired. And in the meanwhile, everyone showed up at the stadium for a 2 p.m. game, and like halfway through the game, the stadium was completely drunk out of beer. Got a plan for those sun delays, NHL.
That's right. Do you have a guess as to who will secure the final roster spot between Raphael Lavoie, Adam Ernie, Brad Malone, or Lane Peterson?
Man, it's such a crapshoot. Like, I love Brad Malone. That guy is such an honest hockey player. He tries, he puts in the effort, but he is more of a career AHLer, but man, he brings some grit. Lavoie, he shows flashes of brilliance. I want to like him, and I do, but he needs consistency.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that you have to put him on waivers to let him go, kind of gives him a leg up for sure over the others, given the fact that he's still a valuable asset for the organization. So I don't know. I've been trying to watch where I can. Nothing's like I'm actually deferring to you guys. Like, what have you been seeing? What do you think?
Lavoie sniped a beauty the other night, but I think the game was already out of reach. So how much stock do you put into it? Yeah. I mean, he definitely has hands. He's got a great shot, but I think there's him and Bourgault at times. They can disappear for a while, and if you're a fourth line center, I don't think, or like a fourth line player, you can't disappear. And is he too talented to be on your fourth line? So it's a tough decision to make, I think, for them. Like, and yeah, I don't think they want to lose the asset. So is there a trade coming before the season even starts? That's kind of in my head.
Well, I thought when Holland went to pick up Adam Ernie, I thought he was going to be that guy for us to try to fill that physical void that we lost with Costa being gone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supposed to be that guy. I mean, Holland even alluded to the fact, or basically said it right out loud there during his presser about it. But to me, he's had a fairly weak camp. He hasn't brought that edge that we want to see from him. Out of all those people you mentioned, I think the guy that stood out the most to me has actually been Lane Peterson, who's not a guy who I would have actually even looked at. But man, that guy has a work ethic, and he's been throwing his body around a little bit too. So, but again, like both of you guys say, Lavoie with that waiver thing that kind of gives him that edge. I'd hate to be the guy who has to make this decision.
They're probably having the same conversation we are and just beating their head against the wall and be like, what do we do here? And that's what's so funny, right? Is when you talk to people in the game and they're like, you don't think that exact conversation you're having with your buddies isn't happening in that room? Like they don't see what you see, or they don't feel, or experience what you experience. I'm like, I never really thought of that.
There's probably a whiteboard onto reasons why and reasons why not, all done up, and
100%.
And the best part is we get to tell them that they did it wrong, right? No matter what happens.
Yeah, we have the lucky point of view of hindsight to be able to correct them.
I would have kept this guy. I don't know why they kept that guy.
I want to ask you, like, what are some of the best and worst moments that you've experienced as an Oilers fan and as a co-founder of Oilers Nation?
Oh, as a fan, I remember this is in the decade of darkness, and I specifically like thinking like it was still early in the. It was like November 5th, I want to say. Like it was so early, and we were playing Detroit, and we got absolutely spanked. And I was, once again, I drink the Kool-Aid every I used to, you can tell that the team's in a good spot because I'm not paying as much attention to preseason. Like preseason used to mean everything, like any PTO, anything. I'm like, this is going to be the guy. These are the answer, right? And that's something we've had a lot of fun with at Oilers Nation. And so it's one of those years, and we got absolutely whooped. And it was like we were basically like mathematically eliminated. It was like early November, and I was like, "Oh my god, man! I don't know how why do I keep doing this?" And I just remember that was like my ultimate low as a fan because I actually questioned like if I should even like watch Oilers hockey for the rest of the year. I got over it, but I think they finished dead last that year, and we drafted first, but. I remember that just being dark because I had so much hope for that year for some forsaken reason. And we got whooped by Detroit. And I just remember that being an ultimate low because it actually questioned me of like, should I even invest my time and energy in this? And I snapped out of it, thankfully.
It's like the preseason curse. Like, when we were drafting first overall, we'd have perfect preseasons. Mm-hmm. now we're 2 and 3 in preseason, and some people it's doom and gloom, and for me it's like, well, we haven't really addressed a normal lineup really yet at all. So
no,
that'll come not tonight, but probably the last 2 games of this 8-game marathon that we're in.
For sure.
That decade of darkness, though, was like, oh my goodness. I'm such a diehard Oiler nerd that I watched it all, like, every single game. I didn't miss one. Whenever I couldn't, I had the PVR set, whatever. But I just remember feeling numb when I was watching these games with no emotion. After a while, you just got numb to losing. I'd sit there, the Oilers would score, I wouldn't cheer. And the other team would have 5 goals in the second period. I wouldn't even react. You just become numb to it, and it's such a shitty feeling as a hockey fan.
Oh yeah, and even like in the early days of the nation, like we bootstrapped this thing for the longest time, and we would need playoffs to try to survive, and they wouldn't happen. And then you're like, crap, how are we going to juggle this? And I just remember like there was like this also like emotional, like just outside of like, well, we built a business around being a fan, just like you guys have. And I just remember like this emotional, but also like fear of insolvency creeping me every year we didn't make the playoffs for like 5 years. Being like, oh man, this team is sinking me, literally. But decade of darkness. But we learned it. We waited those 10, a little quasi 11 years or whatever it was, and we launched a fun Decade of Darkness clothing line that did really well that we were able to kind of celebrate with. So I guess we found a silver lining there.
Maybe that helps your business model is seeing like how awful this team really was and how well they still were supported.
That's Oilers fans, and that's
yeah.
You gotta love us. We're a very unique community amongst hockey fandom, at least I think. And once again, I'm extremely biased because I'm so pro Oilers and so pro Edmonton and pro Edmonton Oiler fans. That's kind of how I've always kind of picked who I cheer for in other sports. Like I'm a Cleveland Browns fan because like I loved the pain that they went through, and I loved how the city got behind them. And like you go to Cleveland, you meet these people, and you're like, oh my god, like you're exactly like us, like, and you just make that connection. So for there, like I've been a Browns fan watching a tire fire forever, and I get emotional and I get pissed that they don't make the playoffs, or they give us a little glimmer of hope, and then it doesn't pan out the next season. But I go back to kind of why I like the Browns, and they're like a byproduct of the community that supports them, and that's what I really love. And I go back to like that's what Oilers fans are, man. Like it's an amazing community of just people that want to ride the emotional wave together.
So you like pain, Jay? Is that what you like?
Yeah, man. And then my EPL team was Swansea, and now they're relegated. And it's because they're the team from Wales that, like, what the hell are they doing in the EPL? How'd they get there? And I got around the community that support them because they're like, I can't believe we're here. And they had that kind of small town mentality where everyone, like, Edmonton across Canada for the most markets is considered a small town, right? And so
Yeah.
we're viewed and looked like that. So I just always identify with that. So yeah, I'm a sucker for it. But I want to start liking. I kind of want my teams to start winning like championships and start, like I think you trust the process and you look back once you hit success. You go back to being like, man, I miss those I miss those dark days, like where we grinded it out. Like we've done enough of that. I want to like now, like I think we've earned a chance to like be just like a perennial champion or threatening for champion, which we've entered that window now, which has been super nice. Although I was super sour about the Vegas series, but because that was the Stanley Cup right there. Had to have been. Man, if we got through, that was it. But on to this year.
Yeah, I've been thinking for a little while that they were sort of building for this season coming up. Last year would have been bonus and gravy. I didn't think Vegas was actually the team that was going to take us out, but um, I've thought for a while that this is the season where they finally climb Mount Olympus and get it done. And then after you get there once, it's about getting back and trying to maintain. And it hasn't been done too often. But Tampa Bay has found a way to do it. Maybe we can unlock the cheat code and you forget about the taxes, just have the players that, are bought into kind of winning. And, Evander Kane comes here, he resurrects his career. And I think a large part of that is due to, well, I think the guy sort of hit rock bottom, but I think he found, guys like Connor and Leon and Darnell that are true leaders. And, you just want to be a part of that. And so now it's about actually doing it. My thought in my head is honestly, if this team can stay healthy, they will do it this season. That's where I'm at.
Well, I think one of the things I've heard also from last year was the fact that I felt like Vegas wasn't as strong as the Colorado team that had beat us the year before, and the Oilers were stronger than what we had been the year before. So that's kind of like I agree with you, Jay. Is that was the Stanley Cup there, and we make it past those guys, and I think it's relatively a bit more smoother the rest of the way. So that one kind of hurt because we did take a smaller step backwards with a stronger team.
Well, we beat ourselves in that series.
Yeah.
That's what was so frustrating. We couldn't string together 3 periods of hockey to save ourselves. But, in the periods that we were on, we were unstoppable. And it's like, you're sitting there and you're like, what the hell? It's right there. And that was the frustrating part. It wasn't like where we lose to Colorado the year before. You're like, well, Colorado's a juggernaut. Like, that made sense. We weren't ready yet. I wasn't even up like an ounce upset. I'm like, Western Conference, the Western Conference Finals, like success, on the checklist of getting to winning and hoisting the cup. I'm like, that's perfect. But then, yeah, last year it was there. So, what can we learn from that series, and what can we do? Like the one thing that Vegas had, or the few things that they had, was strong blue line, and then just 4 lines they could just run with. Like, didn't matter. They just rolled their 4 lines, and we had to lean on our big guns a little bit more than normal, and that obviously can maybe unlock some fatigue for them. I know they're young and in good shape, but still, playoff hockey's a grind. So I'm hoping we're paying attention to that, and as the season goes on, see what we have, and just like Tampa does, make the moves you need to make. They always find a way, right? So these good teams always do. Even if you don't have 0 cap space and 0 assets, they find a way to do it, and they keep doing it year after year when they've got a core. We've got our core. Our core is you put it up against any of those cores that had good championship runs. Now it's just, what are we going to build around them to kind of insulate them and give them a chance to breathe when it comes playoff time.
I think Vegas had a balance throughout their lineup, and I think they were a little bit more healthy than we were in that series. And I also think minus Petrangelo, trying for the Canadian Lumberjack Olympics, more discipline.
Oh fuck yeah, jeez. That's the other. Like I said, every chance we could, we would just beat ourselves. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it was really weird. Like I love the physical side of hockey. I love tenacity, but it was like they're choosing the wrong times and picking the wrong spots where it's resulting in penalties. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Timing. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
It was bad timing.
Mhm.
Pick your spots, and they seem to pick the spots at the wrong time, the wrong point of the game. So, 100%.
Darnell taking that fight was, coming to Leon's aid sort of in a roundabout way, but the timing of it, was brutal. Do it earlier or wait for the next game or something. But
In the moment, it was awesome. Like you're
Yeah.
you're at the game, and I'm like, my god, that was such an awesome moment. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh shit. I'm like, I think he's going to get suspended, and that it just kind of
Yeah.
devalues it right away. But in the moment, that was awesome. If it wasn't a suspension.
Any concerns with Ekholm and McLeod missing most of the preseason? I guess Gregor was saying that there's a chance they might play one or possibly the final two after tonight.
Like no, like they're gonna make the team. They probably might not be their best shape. Come puck drop, but they'll quickly find their legs and get up to speed. So no concern. There might be just there might be a couple of games where they maybe look a little rusty just because they haven't had the same training camp and time to gear up for the season like the others. But Ekholm's a pro. He's smart. So like if his feet aren't working, he'll be in the right place and he'll be a prick where he needs to be a prick, and that's why we love him. And McLeod, yeah, he's young, so he'll heal fast, and he'll be buzzing around the ice probably on home by like in time for home opener. Probably don't have to wait at all. So I'm not too concerned, and I don't think the injuries were like too severe to be too concerned about. But I'll knock on all the wood I can find when I say that. But
I think, well, Ekholm even said that if it was regular season, he'd be playing through it. So,
Mhm.
it's probably just something a bit more nagging. And like you said, he's smart, so he recognizes his body, and he won't want to push something that doesn't need to be pushed through right now.
No rush. We're playing for playoffs, right? Like it's obviously the work's not done. Like we haven't clinched playoffs yet, but like we're in a spot where we're going to be on the trajectory. So like, be smart.
What were your thoughts when we picked up Connor Brown?
Well, he addresses a need. Like he brings a lot of tools that we desperately need to our front six, or sorry, top six, front six. Jeez, I've been watching the football game. So yeah, there's a gamble there because Howard's knees, but he looks like he's been skating pretty good. He can kill penalties. So he brings a lot of the attributes that we needed. There's that Connor connection, which I think also goes a long way. It looked like there was a bit of a unofficial courting process for him, so it seemed like the guys wanted him. So like, if the room wants him, he brings skills that we are lacking, and certain attributes that we are lacking. With the way the contract's structured, I think it's totally fine. Like it was totally worthwhile gamble. I don't even know if I shouldn't even say the word gamble.
Not for that price tag. It's not a gamble, especially for the potential that he could be bringing to the lineup.
Yeah, it puts us in bonus like that overage for next year, but like the plan probably is the cap's going to go up $10 million, so it's hopefully a moot point. But yeah, it's we'll look back at the season and we'll see how the Connor Brown signing was. I bet you we'll be happy about it.
Well, if he scores even 20 goals, I bet you can't afford him for next year. So
well,
enjoy the one year we have him.
Maybe we want to stay with Connor because a lot of the success comes from Connor. A lot of people sign their big tickets because of him, but someone's got to stay around with him just to be a good guy and want to try to win something.
So Jack Campbell's starting tonight in Seattle, and he's coming off an impressive start where he kept a Condor-heavy Oilers team in a game they really had no business being in and got them to overtime, and they got the win. Are you on board with the Jack Campbell redemption tour?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man. Jack Campbell saved our playoff lives. last year, and I feel like we maybe mismanaged that a little bit. We should have maybe got him back between the pipes because he deserved it. Because if he doesn't put in that performance, we don't get out of first round. So the fact that that he's put some work in to kind of just get him mentally prepared for the season, like it's like I'm bullish because the guy is a natural athletic goalie, right? So it's just as long as he feels like he can do it, he has got all of the skill to do it. So it's just piecing that together. So I drink the Kool-Aid. I believe what he said. I believe the work he did is paying off. So I fully expect a bounce back season for Jack, and that's good because that mitigates Skinner. Because we still don't know if Skinner is a guy you can ride for 60 games. We need it truly needs to be for this to be successful, potentially like a 60-40 split, one way or the other, whether it be Jack and Skinner or Skinner and Jack. So I'm a believer. I am a believer in Jackson in the comeback season.
Well, you're preaching to the choir, Jay. We are full supporters of the 2023-24 Jack Campbell Redemption Tour. Skinner, number one, played better than we anticipated he would last year. So there is that question of sustainability, and he did kind of falter in the playoffs there from time to time. Although you can't put the playoff on his shoulders, for sure not. But the more he plays, the more other teams figure him out because they have more things to look at and to review about him. So there's also that potential of a bit of a sophomore slump as some guys are prone to have. So we get Jack Campbell's experience, and if he's made the improvements that he had made already in the playoffs last year and had a strong preseason already, I think our 1A, 1B situation has the potential to be one of the strongest in the league.
I'm with you, man.
So tonight's game is on 6:30 Ched and Oilers Plus. If you don't have Oilers Plus, use promo code Preseason23 and you can get a free month of Oilers Plus. And if you decide you had enough after preseason's over, you can cancel your subscription. Insider trading there. Oh man. So the Oilers yesterday on their day off in Seattle, they had a little pickleball tournament, and it looks like Dylan Holloway and Broberg, I think, won it. Do you play pickleball, Jay?
I don't play it enough. I've only played it a few times, and it's not going to make any sense, but I'm addicted in the sense of if I can play it, I will play it. And no shocker, those Scandinavians and their racket sports. Not surprised. Broberg's one of the elite.
Yeah, I guess Klefbom's into pickleball too. So
yeah. Well, geez, he's living the good life. He's retired, and I'd be playing pickleball every day.
I think pickleball is the Crocs of sports. Nobody wants to admit that they play it, but once they play it, they're addicted to it.
Oh, it's so fun! It's so much.
Tried it yet, sorry.
You haven't tried it?
No, I have not. No.
Oh well, yeah. It's just like large ping pong, like bigger beds, but it's I guess it doesn't move as fast. But
well, that's what I'm afraid of is that I'll get addicted to it. I'm already addicted to enough sports. I don't need to add pickleball to my itinerary.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping. I can't wait to get more of it in my life at some point. It'd be a good exercise for sure.
I'm a pretty terrible racket sport player, whether it's tennis or badminton or probably pickleball. So I haven't really adopted that yet either.
Give it a go.
Take us behind the scenes.
There's pickleball. Oh, sorry. There's pickleball bars that are opening up in the States. And
really?
I gotta go to one. Like Top Golf for pickleball.
Take us behind the scenes a bit, Jay, and what kind of happens at OilersNation as soon as the season ends. Is there already? You guys take some time off, or are you already planning for this next season? And what's going on? You get the gears turning. Do you have like a staff meeting?
Yeah, so that's the time when most of the team, like throughout those 3, well, hopefully 2 months, time off, people will use it for their vacation. So people will slow down a little bit, but the reality is the summer's where the real work begins. So yeah, wheels turn. We look back at the year that was, see it. We have a meeting to look at. We always call it like our summer projects meeting, because we look at the season that was, what worked, what didn't, what can we work on, build, or do to improve the things that didn't work so they can work better for next year. and then we identify the new opportunities for us for the new season. Also, just kind of start throwing stuff on the wall and see what takes, and then do all the work that's needed to get that off the ground for the season. So for me personally, summers are like crazy because I'm less talent. I'm more on the back end and the business side. So for me, like I barely go away during the summer. I just stay home, which Edmonton summers are great, and just kind of focus and get all that stuff done. And I actually kind of slow down. Well, I shouldn't say slow down, but if I'm taking vacations, it's actually in season. So for me, I'm the opposite to our talent and to our other team members. Because once that stuff's in play, they kind of run with the ball. So yeah, no, always lots on the go, always a lot of review and reflection. Because we can always be better. And continue to kind of move the chains forward and identifying new fun things. That's the stuff that ultimately fuels us. Like, it's just finding fun stuff to do and seeing if we can like do something about it.
There was I think it was on Oilers Every Day, or maybe it was on Gregor's show. There, you guys had a poll up if would you trade Skinner a first and Broberg for Connor Hellebuck? And I'm thinking there should be a caveat to that, because I don't think I make that deal unless you have Connor Hellebuck signed to a long-term deal.
Yeah. I would agree. If you have to get the extension there, but I would totally entertain that. I love all those players, but it's Connor Hellebuck, man.
Yeah.
He's the type of goalie that can steal you a series, or at least steal you, half those games in those series.
Mm-hmm. And he's a competitor.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that there wasn't more transactions out of Winnipeg over this offseason. I mean, it seemed like it was the end of the world when they lost out in the playoffs last year with all the comments and stuff that were coming out.
Yeah, I wonder what obviously there's probably maybe some more value they can get at the trade line. Maybe that's their thought. Like, I thought kind of seasons trades that happen in the draft or in the summer, maybe that's where you kind of get more juice. But when you got like those are like top end elite guys, so maybe you can hold some teams that are hungry for and think they have a chance for ransom at that time as they leverage their future to set up Winnipeg for theirs. So it's kind of an interesting thing, and maybe they think that they got a team that can make the playoffs, and maybe those are their trade deadline acquisitions. But those are two assets that they've got a lot of value. They can get a lot of return for that team. So it'd be hard to just kind of not take what you can get for them, because it would be a lot. So yeah, it's interesting, the thought process. It'll be an interesting trade deadline in Winnipeg.
I'm glad
as the season goes on. But I actually think right now, if I look at the Jets right now, I actually do think they have enough there to sneak in a wild card spot yet. So they could be a couple trades away from either going big or going home.
I'm glad the Kings didn't jump on board that whole Hellebuck train either in the offseason. That prospect scared the crap out of me.
Well, they should have. That was like PLD is legit when he wants to be.
Right.
He seems to fight consistency, but he's got the whole package when he's on. Like, I got a lot of time for him, but his consistency is in question. So like, why not? Like, goaltending is your like weakest point. Like, why would you go out for Hellebuck? It didn't make any sense.
One of those guys that is an elite player, but his want and desire sometimes seems to waver a little bit. And then when that happens, then his consistency goes down. He becomes more of a liability. But if he's there and he wants to be there and he'll play for you, like that's a good catch.
I know, and that's LA. They're coming.
Who do you think comes out of the East?
Oh, well, I hate to say it, but Toronto's really good. So they this could be their year to get pretty far. Who else? Is this Carolina? Is Carolina finally having they have like 14 blue chip defensemen, and I know they're probably just waiting to like trade those in for something at this point this season, because they can't have that many. You just can't. and they've always been waiting for that game breaker, and they've always been fighting hell. Like, it seems like Sveshnikov gets hurt all the time, but they've got the ingredients, and they got a good coach with Rod the Bod. So if they can get their game breaker, they've got a good chance. I don't know if New Jersey's going to be the same as they were last year, but they were young and fast and entertaining. Maybe they still got some. Maybe they can still surprise us this year. But probably Carolina and Toronto would be my votes.
Do you think the Bruins take a giant step backwards with the loss of Bergeron and Krejci? Like a giant step backwards. Obviously, they're going to take a step backwards, but a giant step backwards.
But like, what's giant? They had 130 million points. So like, do they get 100 points and 18 less wins or whatever it is? Like, that's still giant. Yeah, they definitely regress, and I still think they threaten for playoffs. But I think they're more kind of on the wild card side. Kind of be my guess, because like, we're going to find out the impact Bergeron had, not only as a player and like a perennial Selke winner, but just like the character he brought to that team and leadership that he brought. Because that guy did everything the right way. And now, it's on Marchand. Now, Marchand's had many years in the Bergeron dojo, so maybe he can carry the torch forward. So it'll be interesting to see. But like, man, that's like a big, massive leader to lose. Krejci obviously was very complimentary and always just seemed to perform well in the playoffs, and he will be missed. But that Bergeron factor, just from a leadership perspective, will be interesting to see how the team can persevere without him.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I do think the Bruins still, like, Bergeron's presence is still going to be felt there. Like you said, he was in there for so long, and everybody was practicing that dojo for so long. So he'll have set the tone for the culture of that dressing room that a guy like Marchand will try to maintain or continue. Mm-hmm. You look at a guy like DeBrusk, who's on the up and up now. He's just finding his stride. McAvoy really finding his stride. I think right now they probably got the best goaltending tandem in the league.
Oh, they do. Almost going to take one of those. If you're LA, why are you trying to just get one of those either? But yeah, that's a hell of a tandem. Yeah, sorry.
They're almost going to take a small step backwards. I mean, that was out of the blue year kind of bit. But like, having said that, even if him and Swayman kind of play, 80 to 90% of what they did last year, that's an elite grouping. I think they're still going to surprise, but the impact of losing Bergeron is definitely, it's going to be interesting to see what that does to that team.
I think they'll take a little bit of a step back, but it's not going to be major. Like, I don't know how healthy Bergeron was all season last year, really. I think he was in and out of their lineup. So, yeah, his presence, I think they'll miss that, but I think they're well suited to kind of keep going. The thing that'll be interesting for me in the East is, can the Florida Panthers duplicate what happened last year, or do they drop off the table too? Like,
well, can Bobrovsky
do
what he did over 82 games? Can they, get like those injuries to their blue line? I don't know when those guys come back, but like, the blue line's now decimated, and that's also kind of like part of the heart of their team. So yeah, like maybe Tkachuk can will them through that, just similar to kind of what the Bruins had to do. They didn't they start the season without Marchand and Bergeron? Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe they can persevere through that, but it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of variables in Florida, I think, that need to go the right way.
Tonight too, I think we're pairing up McDavid and Dry and Hyman. So it looks like Jay's not going to be bashful to kind of use the nuclear line at times, because earlier in the preseason he dressed Nuge centering Hyman and Kane. So I think with the addition of Connor Brown, it kind of gives your top six the ability to shuffle things around probably a little bit more easily than before. And maybe you go to the nuclear line, not really out of necessity, but just because you can now, and still have depth around. So that's going to be interesting to see what goes on. Bob, if you've got like one more or something, we'll shut her down with Jay so people can go and watch the game if they're wanting to relatively soon here.
Well, one thing across a little bit where they Jay has mentioned that they're going to change some things on the defensive side of things a little bit, playing some sort of system, and we've seen it being implemented a little bit in the preseason here. They're going with a 1-1-3 kind of setup. What are your thoughts on then kind of just trying out the different defensive system as a team?
Yeah, our greatest weakness, especially if Jack is comeback season, is our defense. So we know we have to play better team defense because we're not as strong defensively as a lot of the big clubs. So getting buy-in, changing up the system to kind of help mitigate that, I think it's. We know we can score goals and we want to score goals. So let's make sure that we're preventing it. That's the biggest thing, and I bet all Oilers fans will agree. We have to stop the amount of pucks that go in our net this year. If we do that change, then wow, it'll be interesting to see what our record finishes at for the year, because we did so well and we're still just letting goals go in by the bucket load. So change up the system. I'm totally for it because clearly it wasn't ideal last year. So getting team buy-in on that is important. I'm preaching defense this year.
I think we're hearing it through the buy-in from everybody, because almost every interview you hear, they're talking about team defense. So that's an encouraging sign. And out of the 8 teams in the West that made the playoffs last year, we let in the most goals. So that's a need that had to be addressed.
Yeah, it's not a Stanley Cup winning stat or winner stat. That needs to be resolved this year.
I think you already answered my last question that I had for you, but I'll ask it again before we let you go. Is this the year?
Every year is the year, man. But this time it is the year. Of course, it's there, man. These guys are at the peak of their careers, and we're putting some good pieces around them. We just obviously need health go our way, and then we just need management to fix anything that we all may deem or think is broken to kind of better suit us for a long playoff run. So yeah, man, everyone, you're feeling it. I'm feeling it. Feeling it more than normal, I think. So
I know it's
going to be a fun night.
I know it's a busy time for Oilers Nation. So Jay, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, man.
Oh, enjoy the chat. I appreciate you guys reaching out. Don't be afraid to reach out again.
It kind of, I guess quenched my thirst a little bit, or maybe even made me thirstier when they started interviewing Draisaitl about the whole cup or bust thing. McDavid starts camp, captain skates 2 weeks ahead of the whole league. We're in that time where you've got, kind of your Kobe Bryant getting up at 4:00 in the morning to go and train.
That's right.
And everybody else watching that, and they're getting home from the bar and they're like, oh shit, maybe we should get on board with this guy and do what he's doing. Like, that work ethic. And I think McDavid's transition from just kind of the quiet, humble Wayne Gretzky type leadership into more of a Mark Messier style, where it's leading by example, but also a vocal leader. And you guys follow me, let's fucking go, because I want to win. Anyways, that's all the time we have tonight. And I want to thank everybody for listening and tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll join us next Monday when we're back again. We're going to do Monday nights all season. We want to thank Jay from Oilers Nation for joining us on the show and sharing his insights and opinions on the Oilers and the upcoming season. Jay, it was a pleasure to have you on the show, and we hope to have you back again in the future. As always, keep your sticks on the ice, keep reaching for the stars, and go Oilers go. Now it's time for everybody's favorite cool down music. Good night, everybody.
See ya.